Let me get mic checked.
Check.
Checking. Let's go.
Ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you?
It's time to flip a coin and find out.
Well, we need to know what we're calling for here.
We're calling it to see who's got the best sports knowledge here on the coin flip with Martin Kelly
And Jacob Zimmerman.
Flip it again.
Ha! Head!
Oh, yeah. What's up? What's up, Jacob?
Welcome into the Coin Flip Podcast. It's episode 48.
Yeah, it is, Jacob. And man, we got another good week here right now. We got to talk about the NFL. We got to talk about the NBA. We got to talk about NASCAR. We got to talk about Dixie State football. You got the rant. Like, man, we got a packed show today. We really got a packed show. And on top of that, Jacob, I'll take over the introduction because I know you're about to do it. I apologize. But we got one of our best friends on the show. He's cool. He's clean. He's guaranteed to give you the best information he's got on sports. Please help us welcome James Guerin back to the show.
What's up, guys? How we doing? Thanks for having me on the show. It's the first time I'm actually here in person, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm interested to see what you guys got for me today. Well, I may be a little bit rusty. It's been a while since I've done anything like this, so but I'm still going to come out arms blazing. So
yeah, we know that. When was the last time you were on your own podcast? I haven't heard a few episodes.
The week after the Super Bowl, where I laid my my big kaboom on everybody. I'm surprised you haven't listened to it because I said something on there, and I'm never going to repeat myself again. But
said Tom
wait, yeah, I have that on recording, and I saved it on a file, so I have that forever.
You have that on recording?
Yeah.
You actually recorded my own podcast for 10 seconds.
Yes.
Good, because I'm never going to say it again. Those words are never going to come out of my mouth. I said it's going to be one time and one time only, and I'm going to stick to that word. So that was the last time. It was the week after the Super Bowl. I'm going to get back into it, though, this week with the season coming up.
All right, so before we get into the rundown here, Jacob, before we talk about what we're going to do on the show, let's get caught up a little bit with James here. First of all, let's touch on the fact that you were in Oklahoma City the entire summer.
For a couple of weeks.
Tulsa, Oklahoma City?
I'd never lived there. I would never live in Oklahoma City. I would never live in Oklahoma in general. I mean, it's a nice place to go for a couple of months, but I mean, extracurricular activities, there's definitely more there than there is in the state of Utah, but
how many tornadoes you get hit by?
Honestly, we didn't get any. In the entire summer that I was there, we had like maybe 2 warnings. Really? But that was it. We didn't get any tornadoes. I mean, it was weird because when I first got to Oklahoma, it was about 35 degrees in April. And then by the time I'm leaving, it's 100 degrees with 80% humidity. So I'm like, wow, this isn't a 4-month span. So I'm glad to be back in Utah. I mean, Oklahoma, I don't know if I'll ever go back there. I have no desire to go back to the state of Oklahoma, but it was a good experience for me. I'm glad I did what I did and what I did out there, and now I'm back, and football season's already here upon us, so I'm just ready to get back into it.
All right, let's talk about the final thing before we get into this. Peyton Manning got he's officially in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, it was trying to come to my mind. I was like saying retired number or whatnot, but officially in the Hall of Fame. Some thoughts on your favorite player going into the Hall?
I think they should have gave him the gold jacket as soon as he was at that Denver press conference retiring. I mean, this was a no-brainer. The fact that it took 13 seconds to me is actually kind of an insult. I mean, as soon as you say his name, it should automatically. What do you have to think about? I mean, come on here. No, but in all honesty, like I shedded a tear. I started getting a little teary-eyed because this is the guy that made me love the game of football today. This is the guy that actually got me into sports in general, and watching this guy play when I was 8-9 years old, watching him throw for 5-6 touchdowns in a Pro Bowl, it was like, all right, I guess I'll like this guy. And I just rode with it. And from that moment on, I was all about Peyton, and I still am all about Peyton. And
obviously from your Colts little slip-ons.
Yeah,
right there.
I mean, you got to have the slip-ons on at all times. But, he deserved it. And I think he changed the game altogether because he wasn't just a quarterback. And you guys know that. Martin, you know that probably better than anybody in the Super Bowl. But he wasn't just a quarterback.
Wow. You're right. He wasn't just another quarterback.
And that is something that I will always say, that Peyton Manning was more valuable than Tom Brady. Tom Brady knows how to break down a defense. Manning was an offensive coordinator that could throw the ball. And there's nobody else in the league that can say that.
You're just so damn lucky that his quarterback and my quarterback played like ass in the Super Bowl. Otherwise, he would have retired without any rings. Okay, so be lucky he had any chance.
Well,
at
and
winning
if Drew
2
Bledsoe
rings,
never got hurt, Peyton Manning might have been in 6 more Super Bowls.
he could have been.
Yeah,
he could.
we could do this if game all day.
Anyway, let's get over to the rundown. In the NFL, we're gonna give our MVP picks. We're gonna give our Super Bowl picks. It's kind of a quiet week for the NFL right now, a week before the season gets underway. In the NBA segment, we gotta talk about Ben Simmons. He says he wants out of Philly. Where is he gonna go? What is the conversation like right now? And Deandre Jordan. Is he going back to the Lakers? Is he going to sign with the Lakers? We'll talk about that. In other sports, we got to talk about NASCAR. We got to talk about MLB for a second. Dixie State football was in action last night. We'll talk about that. And then, Jacob, you got the rant today, buddy. Which hurricane are you talking about today? Because you mentioned hurricanes earlier today.
My Miami Hurricanes. I'm ranting about them. It's going to be a depressing rant after yesterday. James mentioned last night that I should talk about them on the rant, and I was like, well, I have nobody else better to talk about. This one's going to be ugly, folks.
All right, then. Let's get the NFL in here.
Doncic pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Doncic wins the game at the buzzer!
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win it!
3 and 2. LeBron to win the game. He does! He does!
The ball comes in. Cody's got it. Above the three-point line, taking a little bit of time. One dribble, pull up. For the win, he's got it! The Lakers win!
McKee gets it in the middle for the win! It's
With 2, Wade puts it up for the win! Yeah, baby!
Oh my, we are witnessing one of the great players to ever play in this league. And man, I hope it lasts for another 7, 8, 9 years, baby.
7, 8, 9, 10, 15. Year 19 for LeBron James.
We love the audibles you bring, Martin. Switching it over to NBA.
Yeah,
love it.
I accidentally hit the NBA button, and everybody in the studio is like, let's just go with the NBA. We'll talk
Let's
about
do
the
it.
NBA.
It made sense because we were talking about Peyton Manning audibles. So that was perfect.
Oh, Lord. You are just driving this train all damn episode. All right, boys, let's talk about the NBA here. First, we got to start with Ben Simmons. The breaking news out of the NBA is Ben Simmons has wanted out of the Philadelphia 76ers after 5 seasons with the 76ers. 5.
I guess if you count his rookie year, if you count it or not.
So 5 seasons in the NBA, 3-time All-Star so far, 3-time first defenseman with the Philadelphia 76ers, but has failed to reach a conference finals, has failed to reach the NBA finals, and has failed to build a relationship with Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid and with the 76ers organization. What's next for Ben Simmons, and do we buy that this idea of any of the 3 California teams, leaving out Sacramento Kings for some reason, out of the California teams is a viable option?
You know, I didn't think this was going to be a real discussion here.
We talked about this all offseason last year, which one of them was going to stay or not. We talked about this for like a while.
We have been talking about this for a long time, but when we met today, right before the podcast, and you said that it is not Ben Simmons' fault, I have a problem with that, Martin. Ben Simmons was drafted number 1
So you're going right there, huh? Okay.
Number 1. That means that he was compared to LeBron James. People were saying he's the next LeBron. And for him to not have created a jump shot at all, to be not to be even able to attempt one in a game is a whole nother story from just being inaccurate. That is blasphemy. Over all these years, it's not just the 76ers. It's the entire basketball world saying he needs to get a jumper. He needs to figure it out. And he still hasn't done it. And in the playoffs, when we're watching the series against the Hawks, I mean, it is obvious when you don't have to get within 10 feet of the man you're guarding because he is that bad on the offensive side of the basketball, it's a problem. And so because of that, he's holding the team back, and you could make the argument they could have went to the 2019 finals if Ben Simmons had somewhat of a jump shot. And we see it in practice. We see it in the summer league, the offseason, in these pickup games. He can hit these shots, but it's the psychological effect going on with Ben something's wrong. He hasn't figured it out with Doc. He hasn't figured it out with Embiid. I believe that these guys get along at the end of the day. They see each other every day. They're gonna do what they can to get along with each other. They're not gonna try to be enemies. But when someone's holding back your team like that, and it's pretty distinct, I think it's a problem. And Ben Simmons wanting out of Philly, it's kind of on him, man. I don't know where he's gonna go. The Sacramento Kings probably are a pretty good match for him. All the other LA teams and the California teams are not going to take him. They do not want that problem right now.
James?
This is a little difficult for me. And I only say that because, and I'm going to touch a little bit about what Jacob said. He is a number 1 overall pick. So the ceiling for him is obviously going to be 10 times higher than someone who isn't a number 1 overall pick. A team picks you number 1 for you to win one while you're cheap, right? You're supposed to be this generational talent player. And if we even went back to that draft class of 2016, I wouldn't have picked him number 1 overall. I don't care if he was the best raw talent coming out of the draft. He couldn't even lead his team to the dance. LSU didn't even make the dance.
Are you
that
saying
year.
looking back, or are you saying if we were in 2016, you still would have taken him?
I didn't even like it. No.
You would have taken BI?
Not even BI. BI is in the same conversation as Ben Simmons. He struggled to he struggled to develop. Brandon Ingram
he's an all-star. He can shoot.
Now he is. But when he first came out into the NBA, he looked like just another potential flop of a scrub. He couldn't develop on the Lakers, and it took only after 2 years of being on the Pelicans.
A lot of guys can't develop next to LeBron.
Okay, now that I'm looking back at this draft, Jaylen Brown goes number 1.
That's actually a great point.
Now, would I have picked him back then? Probably not. I probably would have went with Buddy Hield.
But back to your point.
Am I answering like whose fault is this? Who's more to blame?
Or just why are we here?
Because Ben Simmons can't shoot. That's why we're here. If he was able to shoot, I was looking at his career stats. He averages 0.1 3-point shots a game. 0.1.
It's probably not even 0.1.
And it's probably less. But still, if he was able to shoot, we wouldn't have this discussion. Because what have the 76ers done in the 4 years that he's been there? Let's not forget how many shooters the 76ers used to have. They were trying to complement. They were trying to help out Ben Simmons because they knew that he couldn't shoot. So they surrounded a facilitator with people who can shoot, right? And year after year, besides Jimmy Butler, they brought in players who could shoot to try and complement him. And he still couldn't get anything done. So to me, the Sixers have already tried to help out Ben Simmons enough. And then they ask him, okay, well, now you're really expensive, so we can't pay all these other guys to come in and help you out. The only way we're going to pay you this money is if you can shoot, because right now you can't shoot. We tried bringing in people who can help you out and shoot, and it didn't work.
And he doesn't even need to shoot a 3-point shot. People get too carried away.
Just a mid-range.
He doesn't need a 3. He needs to be able to hit 70% of his free throws, which is literally not that hard. And the average guy, I believe even you two can go to the gym and hit 50% of your free throws on average, and that's better than what Ben Simmons has done in the playoffs. And so if he can hit what Giannis can hit, like a 15-foot jump shot, turnaround, doesn't even have to be off balance. If you can just hit that and guys aren't getting 3-second violations from playing him on defense so far back in the paint, if you can just hit a mid-range, then it's a completely different conversation.
But I feel like ultimately we're here because Ben Simmons isn't doing what the Sixers are asking him to do. So I don't blame Philadelphia for this. I actually would rather keep Embiid than Ben Simmons. And I know the big man era is kind of gone. It's more of a guard-driven league now. But Joel Embiid's a top 3 center in the league. And he was going on a run during a point last year where it was like, this guy's going to win MVP. And I think he still should have gotten more love towards MVP, but everyone says the playoffs don't determine how the MVP race does, and that's what everyone says, but honestly, I think it does a little bit. I think it does subconsciously go into people's minds that, Embiid couldn't take his team to the 3rd round. So Ben Simmons, I think he does need to get out of Philadelphia. Once a story like this breaks, there's already tension in between the locker room and the players and the coaches. It's not going to go smoothly from here on out. I think if you're the Sixers, you got to get at least 2 or 3 first-rounders out of them.
You guys are missing the point. You guys are missing the most obvious point of this entire saga. This is not Ben Simmons' fault. This is not even close to his fault. He doesn't even take any percentage in this. And I can see you steaming over there, Jacob. I can see it. I can see it. You got to understand the other side of this is the 76ers have been a mess since he's been there. They went from Sam Hinkie, who got fired, then he went over to the Colangelos, who got fired, and now they're with their current GM, who used to be a former player for the team. They've had 3 different directions with developing their own talent that they've missed on developing on all of the talent. James brought it up that they have brought in shooters after shooters after shooters to bring in here to help Ben Simmons so he doesn't have to take a jump shot. But the point of drafting Markelle Fultz was for that, so that Markelle can be the jump shotter, and so Ben Simmons can just drive the ball and pass the ball. So all he had to do was just play a Klay Thompson style of a player. Instead, they've
Ben
tried.
Simmons and Klay Thompson are nothing alike.
What are you talking about? They're not alike. Besides the shooting part, they're one of the top 5 best defenders, and they're one of the top 5 best assist man in the game.
Klay's not a top 5 assist man.
Point is, the 76ers screwed up. All right? They haven't developed.
They didn't screw up because they were the 1 seed last year, Martin, and they lost to the Hawks because Ben Simmons is just, I don't know.
This is not Ben Simmons' fault. This is the 76ers' fault. They have failed to develop some of their best talent walking in through the door, and because of that, they're covering it up with Ben Simmons. Is yet another top high draft pick from the Philadelphia 76ers that is a bust, that did not work. How many times can we look at the player and say it's the player's fault and not look at the franchise and say, what the hell are you doing? Why can't you develop these players and get the potential out of them? Why is it the players that is their fault? Embiid was almost a bust as well. He was injured for 2.5 of his first seasons.
So how did he get good?
He put in the work. I get it. Ben Simmons needs to put in the work as well on his own. Okay, I get that. He's got to develop his game. But the 76ers should have done something. The 76ers should have put more attention into this. How much more blame can you put on the player than on the franchise?
I imagine they've hired guys to develop players' talent. I imagine it's not just like the players walk in to go to practice and there's nobody there to help them out. You know, I believe they have assistant coaches helping them out.
I just don't blame Ben Simmons. That's it.
I just find I can't wrap my head around it, Martin. They just gave this dude a 5-year extension. I don't know what the number is, but they just gave this guy a 5-year contract extension because they believed in him.
Or was that because Elton Brand had to do that? Think about
Elton
it.
Brand didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do it at all.
Well, at the time, Ben Simmons was worth the deal. He was definitely worth the deal.
I don't think he was. If you can't shoot in today's NBA, your value is almost nothing. I don't care who you are as a player. If you can't shoot in today's NBA, Ben Simmons would be a Hall of Famer if he played in the 80s and the 90s because of his style of play.
Yes.
He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, but if in today's era, it's not going to work. You have to be able to shoot. That's why the big man's going away.
I don't blame him. Sorry, I can't do it. All right, let's talk about Deandre Jordan here real quick, possibly going to the Lakers. Jacob, we'll give this over to you. I know you're struggling with your voice a little bit because you've been on the little side of a little roughness, but DeAndre Jordan, how many more players do you guys need to sign? How many older players? You guys have really gone after the day and age of the mid 2010s, man. You guys are digging through the bag and trying to find anything.
Yep, we are just trying to match the Nets super team with a super team of our own. What this deal really is an insurance policy for Dwight Howard, because Dwight Howard's defense is still pretty good even at this age, but DeAndre Jordan's is not at all. And
so you're going to take that risk?
Lobs. You can catch lobs. I saw a stat. They had a lot more dunks and a lot more alley-oops in the 2020 season than they did in the 2021 season with losing JaVale and losing Howard. And I remember,
there you go. Why didn't you go after JaVale?
I don't know. It was we got Howard back, and so we're good with that. But it was a common play, especially in the playoffs, for LeBron to do a pick and roll with Dwight and throw a lob, because that's pretty tough to guard as a defense when you have to guard right by the rim, and then your other guy is one-on-one with LeBron freaking James. That's a tough assignment to ask on defense. So DeAndre Jordan, just having another one of those guys, another high flyer, it's going to add some excitement to this team, but overall, I think just more leadership on this team is what they're after.
James?
Well, I'm looking at it right here. The Lakers, this, like you said it right, Jacob, it's an insurance policy for Dwight Howard. He's not starting. I mean, he only started 43 games last year out of the 57. He averaged 8 points and 8 rebounds a game. I mean, this isn't, I don't understand why people will say, oh, the Lakers are stacking their team. Since when is an 8.8 rebound guy considered a superstar or an all-star? I mean, let's be honest here. He gets like one block a game. He gets a steal a game. He's going to give you 20 to 25 minutes a game. This is an overreaction from the social media world. I mean, this isn't Anthony Davis 2.0 we're talking about here. This is
basically Andre Drummond.
This is 33-year-old DeAndre Jordan we're talking about. He hasn't averaged double digits since 2018, 2019, and even then it was 10.9. So the last time that he was actually ever really super relevant
16, 17?
Bob City.
I would say 2017, like his last years in the Clippers, where he averaged 12 and 13. If DeAndre Jordan can go back to averaging 10, 11 rebounds, then this is a great move for the Lakers, because who else do they have besides Dwight Howard at the center position?
Well, look, Russell Westbrook's going to get a lot of rebounds too. I think we're going to be one of the best rebounding teams in the league, and we should be the best rebounding team in the playoffs. And I think those extra possessions are going to help long term.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a move to me. I mean, this doesn't really move the needle of who's going to beat the Nets or versus the Lakers. I don't know what secrets DeAndre Jordan can give to the Lakers about the Nets that they don't already see on tape. It's the big three or a bust for the Nets. If they don't have the big three on the floor, they're just an average basketball team. With the big three on the floor, with Kyrie, James, and KD, they're arguably the top two best teams in the league. But, I mean, to add DeAndre Jordan to the Lakers, meh. I mean, I guess he gets an opportunity to finally win a championship in LA, which he couldn't do with the Clippers. I mean, he wanted to do with the Clippers. I really wish Lob City would at least have won one championship during that entire time, because that was a fun team to watch with Blake Griffin and CP3 and all those guys, but it didn't happen. So, again, I didn't like DeAndre Jordan going to the Nets to begin with. I thought Jared Allen was a better player. He was a better rebounder, and he can at least block more than a shot a night. He can at least get you like 3 or 4 blocks a night, which is impressive for a big guy like him. So, yeah. This is just an average move.
I don't know about the rebounding part. DeAndre Jordan was averaging 15 rebounds a season at one point. And he averaged double digits. I'm looking at it right now. He averaged double digits for 8 years in a row. So Jared Allen, I don't think is that great of rebounding, but I know what you were trying to say.
What I'll say about the Lakers is there's still a missing piece, and that is someone who can guard these ball handlers. Now obviously, there's no real good matchup for Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. James Harden. But it would be nice if we could get someone who is relatively close to the production of perimeter defense as an Alex Caruso or a KCP or even a Dennis Schroeder. Someone who is an average to above average wing defender that you can at least throw at them. That way we're not having guys like Malik Monk try to guard Kyrie Irving.
You might be a little upset at this, but you do have someone on your team that is a better defender than Alex Caruso. Kendrick Nunn. Did you guys forget that you have him? Did you forget that you guys got Kendrick Nunn?
I did not forget. He can play a little bit of defense too. LeBron, when he really needs to, can step up.
He's quick. He can keep up with a Kyrie Irving kind of player. He's quick and he's young.
Sure,
I'm
surprised.
The guy's a dog.
Out of all the guys we picked up, I'm surprised we got Kendrick Nunn the most out of everybody.
Yeah, I'm shocked the Heat even let him go, but so it was a good pickup for you guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the NFL here. Let's get our Super Bowl picks. Let's get our MVP picks.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Sanders still on his feet. Sanders is gone.
Barr with daylight and time goes for the whole thing. Touchdown! Green Bay leads. Brett Favre.
Rice. He's open. No flags are down. Touchdown.
And here's a sack. Lawrence Taylor comes over the top.
Leon left. No.
DeLone fires to an open Smith. Steve Smith is going to go all the way. No flags down. Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
6 seconds. Murray heaves it downfield. It is. Oh, it's caught. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins. He did what?
Ice up, baby.
Ice up. Jacob, it's a quiet week in the NFL because it was cut week, but it's a week before, well, actually like a few.
The last Sunday without NFL football for the next 6 months.
So February 20th.
So
Oh, yeah.
we got football all the way until then. But Thursday night football will be the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Tom Brady will be showing off his nice new shiny toy of a Super Bowl in front of all his fans, which will be exciting to watch on Thursday night football. On Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to go do a draft party with a couple of our friends from work, Devin Dixon, who will put on the party. Devin Dixon is an awesome man to give us all the opportunities we've got here in Southern Utah. So that's going to be fun this week. So yeah, Jacob, slow week, not a whole lot to talk about, but let's get our MVP picks in. Let's get our Super Bowl picks in before the season starts. We want to talk about that. Jacob, who do you got as MVP of the 2021-2022 NFL season?
MVP. We see it in the NBA. We see it in the NFL. The MVP, basically, I'm going to give it a different name. The next shiny toy. That's what the MVP always is about.
What?
The next young, up-and-coming guy who hasn't won it is always going to be the guy who the media tries to have it go to. We saw it with Mahomes. We saw it this season in the NBA. We thought Luka Doncic was going to win the MVP. Now, it was a little premature, but it's always that guy who has next. And who has next in the NFL? Josh Allen. We've seen him come about over the last couple of years, really improving his stats each and every year. Get this, guys. I'm going to name off his yards over the last 3 seasons. 2,074, 3,089, and then 4,544 this past year. Jumping 1,000 yards every season. Who knows what we're going to get out of Josh Allen this year? Those touchdowns, 10 in his first year, 20 in his second year, 37 in his third year. Those picks went 12 to 9 to 10. So the picks stayed the same, and the yards and the touchdowns almost doubled. Do I need to say really anything else? Completion percentage went from 52 to 58 to 69. This guy has improved more since getting in the league of any other player in the entire NFL, I might have to say. Josh Allen, his progression has been amazing. And guess what? The most important stat, QB record. His first year, 5-6. His second year, 10-6. Last year, 13-3. If you're not picking what I'm putting down, all the projections show that Josh Allen is supposed to come in this season and just absolutely dominate. I'm expecting 40 touchdowns. I'm expecting 5,000 yards, and I'm expecting only about 10 picks this year from Josh Allen. Obviously, the rest of the team is a bit of a question. Are you ever going to get a bell cow back to support him at running back? Maybe. You might luck into one. But for this season coming up, Josh Allen is your offense. They're only going to get better. They've been building for year in and year out here. I saw the dumbest question I've ever seen as a sports debate show on, I think it's the show that Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin do, and they asked, is the AFC East have the best quarterbacks of any division in the NFL? That was the dumbest question I've ever seen. And because the only really standout quarterback in that division is Josh Allen. And so they're going to run away with the division. They're going to win 13 or 14 games this year, something crazy like that. Josh Allen is my MVP pick.
James.
I'm going to touch on a little bit about what you said, Jacob, about the new shiny toy. Is Aaron Rodgers a new shiny toy? No.
He can be.
He's not, but he had one of the best quarterback years of all time. I mean, what, 48-4?
Something like that.
48-6 or something, like crazy.
And, you know, it'd be really easy for me to say that he's going to win it again. And I think I'm going to stick with it. I think he's going to go back-to-back MVPs. I mean, this is the last dance for him and possibly Devontae Adams in Green Bay.
You need 5 dances to get to a last dance. You need 5, not 1. 5 dances to get to a last dance.
This is the last dance in Green Bay. He's been there for, 16, 17 years now.
Thank God.
I think, for your sake, yes.
Thank God.
But, it's just so hard. I mean, and Martin's going to give me a little bit lash about this, but the rest of that division is just competing for second place. I mean,
kiss my ass.
I mean, that no one's going to take the division from Green Bay. I mean, since McCarthy left, Rodgers, all he's done is gone 26-6 with 2 NFC Championship appearances.
Can't win them.
At least he can get there.
True
At least he can win the division. At least he can carry his team single-handedly.
I mean, he was the best quarterback in the NFL last year, Martin. From start to finish, he was.
I'm just going to say, because Aaron Rodgers is, everyone likes to say he's super arrogant, but I think a lot of people have had that mind change ever since he did have that press conference after his first practice. And he kind of just cleared the air about what exactly it is that he wanted, and Green Bay wouldn't give it to him. And, he just wants to be a part of things. And there's no fault in that. I don't think anyone can blame Rodgers for wanting things to go his way, because he is the captain of the ship, right? And he is the guy in the locker room. But with that being said, Green Bay's not doing the things that he wants. So he's getting frustrated, so he's leaving. So with that being said, Aaron Rodgers, I think, is not only going to prove to himself that he's still got it, but he's going to prove to Gutekunst that he's an idiot. And he's going to just go absolutely dumb this year. And I think he's going to have even a better season than what he had last year.
That is something I'm not thinking about, how his motivation is kind of almost internally. He's going to flip the bird in his head every touchdown he scores at his GM who thought he wanted to.
Well, the thing is he's already kind of done that. They drafted Jordan Love, and what does he do? He wins MVP. That right there is kind of a silent bird to the GM. It's like,
yeah.
But at the same time, I was looking at it the opposite way, because now Gutekunst can be like, wow, I can do all the stupid moves I want and still have the best player in football. So it can go both ways, but Aaron Rodgers, my MVP. I don't think it's close.
This is the same one I picked last year. And you know exactly who I'm going for. He already knows. So.
Justin Fields.
No. I wish. I wish. That was a good one. That was actually a good one. And no, it's not Andy Dalton either. And no, it's not Patrick Mahomes. And no, it's not Tom Brady. And no,
Montgomery.
No, it's not David Montgomery.
Allen Robinson.
Hey, you can wish. One day maybe Robbie Anderson will win it. Maybe Sam Darnold will win it. Maybe.
I got Allen Robinson II in our fantasy league, James.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've never been a believer of Bears wide receivers. I'm sorry.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
Go with your pick.
And the Colts have had such a tremendous amount of great wide receivers.
Reggie Wayne.
T.Y. Hilton's been better than any Bears receiver of the last 10 years.
Marvin Harrison, who had the record.
Anyway, who's your pick?
It's Russell Wilson, boys. Russell Wilson's going to finally win the MVP.
Oh, please.
He's finally going to get that MVP vote that he gets. Listen,
Stop
I know.
it, Devin Dixon.
I get it. Listen, his numbers don't say an MVP. Last year he had 40 touchdowns. He had started all games. He had a completion percentage of 64%. Threw for 4,200, over 4,200 yards, 13 interceptions. Sorry. Had a touchdown ratio of 7.2. Had an interception ratio of 2.3. He had good numbers. He had a quarterback rating of 105. QBR rating of 73. He took 47 sacks. But my point is,
47 sacks?
yeah, how terrible an offensive line he plays behind. How terrible an offensive
So how is he going to win MVP?
Because he's just going to be on the run the entire time. He's going to sling footballs to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and they're all going to score the touchdowns. And he's going to hand the ball out to Chris Carson, his running back, who's going to run it up the middle and go for all the touchdowns and everything. Listen, if they would just stop holding Russell Wilson back, these Patrick Mahomes-like numbers that are being thrown out there with 50 touchdowns and 55 touchdowns, Russell Wilson can throw for 50 touchdowns, and it's not even hard for him to throw 50 touchdowns, okay? They always try to take the ball out of his hands and try to run it and try to put a ground and pound style in Seattle, but no. You have Tyler Lockett, you have DK Metcalf, go get a mobile tight end and throw an air raid offense out there. Russell Wilson can sling the football out there, okay? He can throw those type of numbers, and I believe he is going to win the MVP because the Seattle Seahawks will finally realize that if you go to an air raid system with Russell Wilson, he can match up with Patrick Mahomes, and that is a good thing.
I got news for you, Martin. The Seahawks and Russell Wilson couldn't give less of a crap about the MVP award.
They will this year.
Their eyes
it's
are
going to
on
happen this
the
year, man.
Super Bowl for sure. The reason that they don't go to air raid offense in the regular season is because of the sack number you told me, 47. If that is with them running the ball, the amount of times that they do, holy crap, is their offensive line really bad. If they actually drop back as many times as Mahomes, he's going to shatter Andrew Luck's sacks record.
He doesn't have the record.
Okay, whoever has the record for the amount of times
sacked in a season,
that
would belong to David Carr.
That record is going to go down.
I want to say it was 80 times.
Sure, DK Metcalf might
That's
have played
behind
a
the
lot.
Houston Texans. You know they were bad back in 02,
Still the
03.
record. That's still the record.
I know it is.
But every year I tell you this, Martin, that we've been doing this podcast, Russell Wilson hasn't been able to put a regular season together from start to finish. Now, he's had really good starts. He's had really good finishes throughout really the whole decade. But for the entire season, let's face it, this is kind of an award that goes to the best quarterback on the team with the best record. And the Seahawks are in the toughest division in football, so their odds in finishing with the best record in the league are very slim.
Still believe it. I'll carry that till the day I die. All right, let's move on to the biggest game of them all, boys. It is going to be literally in our backyard. The Super Bowl will be in Las Vegas this year, boys. So we might potentially, if we save up $25,000 and maybe throwing another $5,000 on top of that,
we win the lottery.
I mean, all you got to do is just sweet talk Mr. Devin Dixon.
Wow. I'm going to tell him you said that. I'm going to tell him.
I haven't gotten anything from him, so I hear things.
We're getting paychecks. I got my last 2 paychecks. Did you get your last 2 paychecks?
I need to turn in my timesheet. There hasn't been new timesheets for a while.
Anyway, okay. It's going to be in our backyard, boys. We're going to Las Vegas this year for the Super Bowl. We'll spend $500,000. We'll have a lot of fun. So, who are you going to take with you to Las Vegas to play in the Super Bowl?
Who am I going to take with me?
Yeah. As in with the team.
Hopefully a hot date.
Hopefully the Panthers.
Wow, I'm not
Hopefully 2015 Cam Newton. Anyway, but for my MVP, no, not my MVP pick, my Super Bowl pick.
Who's going to Las Vegas?
Am I picking both 2 teams?
Yeah. Who's your Super Bowl matchup?
I'll do the boring one. Hopefully one of you guys can come up with a more
you already have your Super Bowl winner?
Yes.
All right, then name the matchup and the winner. I want to hear this.
The matchup is a rematch.
What?
Between last year. Yep. The Chiefs and the Bucks.
So part 3?
The NFL has now turned into some super teams, and so it looks like if we just go out and do what the rosters say is going to do and nobody gets injured, we're going to have a rematch in the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be different this time. I don't imagine spontaneously before the season, the Super Bowl, that both your starting tackles are just going to get injured or get COVID or disappear off the planet or something, because that Super Bowl was a disaster for Mahomes. He had no one blocking for him, and they really went out and fixed it. Often you see teams like the Packers, we made it to the the NFC Championship, or, oh, we made it to the Super Bowl. We're content with this roster. We're good enough. We don't need to get any better. No, they did not rest. They keep their foot on the pedal. That's what I like about the Chiefs and Andy Reid. They keep their foot on the gas, and they went out and got some more linemen. And we can say Tom Brady was on the injured knee all last year, but I don't think that really affected him much. It's an extra year of Tom Brady. He is like more experienced, but we know that shoulder's probably not as healthy as it once was. We know those feet aren't as quick as they once were. Maybe it's the year Tom Brady finally takes a hit that he can't come back from. But I think when you win a Super Bowl, everybody studies the hell out of your team in the offseason, and they spend countless hours. Guys are getting paid to just watch your film over and over and over again, and we see Super Bowl hangovers every single year. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm going to say a slight case, the Chiefs somehow, some way, find a way to come back and get revenge on Tom Brady.
Kansas City, Tampa Bay, your winner is Kansas City. We'll come back to this when the Super Bowl comes up. James.
I'm going to pick the NFC team first, and I'm going with Green Bay. Green Bay is going to make the Super Bowl finally, and this is why. They've gone 2 years in a row. They've lost heartbreaking back-to-back years. And this kind of has to go with my MVP pick. Rodgers is going to be something that we have never seen before, right? And so I think he is going to be able to do just enough to be able to come over those boys in Tampa Bay. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying it's a lock, but I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is finally going to be the guy who gets it done at the biggest stage. As for the AFC, you guys are both going to lose your minds over this.
I already know where you're going with this.
I'm picking the Buffalo Bills.
I saw that coming.
I'm picking the Bills, and this is why. The strength of schedule between them and the Chiefs are a 30-point difference in favor of the Bills. So the Bills have the easier schedule, and if they can get that 1 seed in the playoffs, Kansas City will not go into Buffalo in the snow in January and beat them. It's just not going to happen. Not with Bills Mafia going absolutely crazy, smashing tables in the parking lot left and right. If the Bills make the AFC Championship game, that will be one of the most electrifying atmospheres, I think, in the history of sports. And I don't think anybody could go in there and beat them. But that being said, if the Chiefs get the 1 seed, I don't see the Bills beating them. So really, this pick depends on who gets the number 1 seed in the AFC. But I do like the Bills as of right now, just specifically because of the strength of schedule.
Do the Bills lose a 5th Super Bowl?
Yeah, you got to give the winner.
Yeah, they do. Aaron Rodgers finally gets his second ring.
You lead them all the way up to that like tippy top where the top of the climax is about to come. You're like, no, they're going to come crashing back
that's
down.
exactly what happened to Aaron Rodgers in that game last year. Everything was going right for them. Brady throws 3 picks. The Packers are doing fine, and then it just all goes downhill. So
I've seen it before. Shows how much better the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster is. For Brady to throw 3 picks and then to still win.
Yeah, that tells you how bad the Green Bay Packers defense is.
No, it tells you how lucky Tom Brady is.
Kevin King got burned like toast. The man could not keep up with white Scotty Miller, a 5'10" slot receiver. Tom Brady made Scotty Miller look like Antonio Brown out there. And literally Antonio Brown was out there.
So are you agreeing with me that Aaron Rodgers' defenses aren't very good?
I've always thought that.
Okay.
I've always known that.
They've been
so with that being said,
about average recently. They do have a top 3 cornerback in football now.
They have Adrian Amos. Yeah, they have the kid from, I forget the kid. Jair Alexander. Yes, I get they have all that talent. All right.
You should know that name a lot more since he gets the ball a lot against you guys. I'm just playing with you.
It's been a great podcast.
It's the Bears' leading wide receiver.
Be lucky that... I hate you.
I'm just giving you a hard time. You know I have to.
It's okay. I said your man Tom Brady to
It's
James
okay. Listen,
yesterday
he needs a ride home. He can hitchhike his ass way all the way home, okay? Good luck walking those hills, all right? Anyway.
So we got
So you got
the Packers.
Packers over the Bills.
We got the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And we got...
All right. You guys, me and Jacob agree on one team making the Super Bowl together. It's Kansas City. I say Kansas City.
Bingo.
No doubt they're coming out of the AFC. No matter what the Bills throw at them, no matter what the Ravens throw at them, no matter what the Cleveland Browns throw.
I think it's closer than it has been, though. I think they're nipping at the heels.
It's a lot closer than everybody thinks. As long as Patrick Mahomes can stay healthy in the playoffs, there's no argument. It will be Kansas City in the Super Bowl. You guys are not going to like my NFC pick.
The Bears.
No, I'm not that stupid, okay?
The Rams.
Yes.
That's actually not a bad pick.
I'm picking the LA Rams. Now, listen. I know Matt Stafford is basically what Russell Wilson is. He's a great quarterback. He's got great fantasy numbers. He's got the potential of throwing for 50 touchdowns. He's got all the talent, but everything around him is just about average or above average. Okay, I totally understand that.
Aaron Donald,
Jalen Ramsey, to make that defense as good as it is, that's a bonus if you're Matt Stafford in that system right there. And again, Matt Stafford to me is a better quarterback than most people will actually think of Matt Stafford, but he's played with the Detroit Lions. We've seen what he does when he plays with top talent, a.k.a. Calvin Johnson. He puts up bonkers of numbers, and he doesn't throw a whole lot of interceptions. He throws more touchdowns than he does interceptions. So I think the Rams, as long as they get the first seed, that's where I agree with you on that one, James, with Buffalo. If the Rams get the first seed, there's no way Green Bay, who likes to play in frozen tundra, is going to Los Angeles winning an NFC championship game. Now, with Tampa, that might be different because they both play in warm weathers, and playing in a dome for Tom Brady is not a problem because he's won Super Bowls in domes, so he doesn't have a problem with that at all. So, if the Rams get the number one seed, my pick will be right. And for the winner, I'm taking Kansas City. It's the second Super Bowl for Patrick Mahomes. He's on the nip of catching up with Tom Brady with the Super Bowls. He'll get down to just 5 Super Bowls that he's got to catch him on the list. Yeah. Kansas City wins the Super Bowl.
It's just hard for me to see anyone coming out of the NFC West getting the 1 seed with just how difficult it is to beat each other in that division.
I don't see that because if I get everybody says Arizona's great, but I got to see it to believe. Arizona can get in their own way from time to time, and the potential that offense has is there, but the potential for that defense to crumble at the end is also there because I don't know if J.J. Watt can stay healthy enough.
Do we put any stock in the 49ers?
I don't either with Trey Lance.
Their quarterback drama is too much.
Too much drama, and they still have some of their best players on the injured reserve. I don't think Bosa's back yet, is he?
I think he's going to be ready.
He's going to be ready, yeah.
Maybe.
But also, here's the thing. If you're going to get the number 1 seed in the NFC, you can't lose more than 3 games. Anyone out of that NFC West can lose 3 games just to their division opponents.
Yeah,
they can go 3-3 in their division.
I get that. It's a tough division, but I think the Rams, I think if what I'm hearing out of the Rams is the fact that Sean McVay's finally got the right quarterback, I think he's about to go bonkers with play calling.
And that's why I'm such a believer in Cooper Kupp.
Nice.
But he's not better than Tyler Lockett.
He will be this year.
Oh,
he will be.
All right, let's move on to other sports here on the Coin Flip Podcast.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
And the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores.
There's the pass to Leitner. Puts it up.
Yes! With Canerco up, and he rips one into left. Canerco, grand slam.
Did you see the schedule?
Welcome back to the Coin Flip Podcast here. We're getting back in here to the studio. The guys had to take a little break to grab some water, and Jacob, I think his jaw dropped to the floor as soon as he heard what I said. And only thanks because James around here is still joking and still making you are the
negativity about our own team.
We can't do that. We can talk.
We're going to talk positive.
Okay, so that I give all
there was a lot of positive signs last night.
So I give all the viewers an idea of what the hell we're talking about because all they're hearing is mumble jumbo. We're talking about Dixie State sports first here.
The school we go to.
Yes, Dixie State football was in action last night. They lost to Sacramento State, a 29th ranked Sacramento State, 19-7. But before we get to that, we got to mention volleyball team. I believe they dropped.
I know they lost their. I'm not sure about the Weber State game on Saturday, but I know that they did lose on Friday. They lost both games on Friday.
Yeah, I think they've dropped every set they've been in so far, but they're still playing good. The women's soccer team, I know they won a game this week. I know that for a fact.
Volleyball, they've had some tough opponents. They've been at the Boise State Classic and the BYU Invitational facing off against real opponents.
They went up against Michigan State.
Invitational, they lost 3-0 against Michigan State. They lost 3-0 against BYU, and they lost 1-3 against Weber State.
Well, we got to give credit to those.
One player, McKenna Nelson, our libero, was on the all BYU Classic team.
So, I mean, and we also have to mention a new head coach in the program. Felder left to be with her family.
Yes.
Robin Felder, we congratulate her on her success here at Dixie State University. We also have to mention, I believe, what's her name?
A player?
Yeah.
Trainer?
Yes. I think Trainer graduated.
No,
yeah.
she's back.
No, she's back.
Okay.
She took the COVID eligibility year, like Jordan Nelson did as well.
She was
so
on
Nelson
the
is back
preseason
too.
all WAC team.
Okay, so good. Nelson is back too because I remember they were supposed to graduate. That's why I was like, so. Anyway, point is, volleyball did well. Soccer teams did well. I know the men won a game this week, and I know the women won a game this week as well. So we want to mention those teams as well. Not only about the football, but boys, let's talk about the football. You guys were on the call last night. I was at ESPN helping out the Devin Dixon and Andy Thompson, who, Jacob, for the second time in our school history, Jacob, for football or just in general for another sport here at Dixie State University, we were on ESPN Plus last night, man.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. I was going to do that yesterday.
We were on ESPN Plus,
to
man.
mention that we were on ESPN.
We were on ESPN last night, man.
Our voice?
No, the game.
No,
the game itself.
Just Dixie in general.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's the second time ever?
Second time in the football program.
Football.
The third time because
Gonzaga, wasn't it?
No, it was the basketball team, and they went up against North Dakota. That was the North Dakota game. That was the first game of the year. They had to play.
Oh, okay.
So that was on ESPN Plus. The baseball team has been on ESPN Plus before too, and the softball team has been on ESPN Plus before as well.
Well, they've been on like ESPN 3, ESPN 2, 5-6 years ago.
So we're starting to get some more recognition. ESPN's starting to knock on our door a little bit here. We're getting to the big time, boys, but back over to the football. I'm sorry I'm dragging this out, but back to the football. I don't know what about you guys. I thought it was a sloppy game, but a good game. That defense showed up last night, okay? They gave up 19 points to Sacramento State, but that defense showed up. They showed up. They showed up to play that cover 2 defense they've been putting in the system the last few years. Stuck out there last night. Malaki was all over the place. Darius Nash was all over the place again. You know, you had Chandler on the outside along with Williams. I forget his first name. Number 18.
I couldn't pronounce his name. Pau Gofi.
Pau Gofi.
Pau Gofi was
all over the place. We did have 2 players. It was only one player that got kicked out for targeting. That was big number 91. I forget his name. I apologize.
Tyrell Grayson had targeting, but I think they reversed it.
They did. Number 17.
Led the team in tackles.
So, I mean, last night was a great showing from the defense. Offensively, Cody Wilstead turned back into a pumpkin at the wrong time and turned the ball over and had 2 golden opportunities to get 2 touchdowns, which probably would have won the game, which would have been a 21-19 win for Dixie State, but he missed it on the Fisher throw. He missed it on the Osborne throw, and Dixie State lost by 12.
Well, I think on both of those throws, it was kind of on both of them just because it was so close. I have 3 main takeaways, and James already heard these, but 1, the defense surprised me. I said it last night. And I said this in our spring broadcast.
They looked like the team that went up against Tarleton State in the first game.
They have the mentality on defense of we will bend all night, but we will never break.
Exactly.
And they did not give up a play. more than 31 yards. That was their biggest play.
And that was a screen.
Yeah.
And so props to Dixie State's defense on that. But now, I got to criticize them on two things. One, for Devin Osborne to not have a single catch last night, that is just unacceptable.
He was hurt, though. He left after the first quarter.
Okay. We didn't know he got hurt.
Yeah, he left after.
But even in the first quarter, I mean, he was your leading receiver yards-wise in spring ball. He's got to show up. They got to give him the ball. They got to throw him the ball.
He's had issues with his hamstrings. He's had issues with his caps. I really wish he had figured it out because he's 6'8" and he's dynamically fast. He's probably besides Jalen Powell, he's probably the fastest player on the team. I mean, he can just outrun everybody. He's 6-7 yards.
In person. He's
6-7 yards ahead of everybody.
Those strides are enormous, and if they can just figure it out in the offense and get their timing right, he is going to explode and have a huge season. But the main thing last night, we can all agree on this, you have to get a run game going if you're going to beat some of these
the
teams.
offensive line played terrible.
You can't be one-dimensional. Robles.
Robles. It's Drew
Robles?
It's Drew Robles. Tevin was doing that last night, too. It's Drew Robles. I know that for a fact because the dude was my roommate.
Okay, Robles, and then Quali Conley. I was expecting Conley to start, but it was Robles who got the start. And both of them kind of traded off carries. And, neither one of them didn't have a lot of success. There wasn't really any holes to run through. The play calling was maybe a little bit questionable on some of those run plays. But, I mean, overall, you got to get a run game going. You can't be one-dimensional.
James?
You said it very briefly. It's just the offensive line. That's the only issue I had. He looked like Patrick Mahomes back there in the Super Bowl. I mean, he was running for his life almost every play, and he's 6'7", and he's not very quick. And it just
You're talking about Cody.
Yes, I'm talking about Cody Wilstead. He just had no time to throw it, and it was just you're never going to get anything going. That's why the running game wasn't working. That's why he wasn't finding a bunch of guys out open, is because he didn't have time to. You're never going to get anything. You're never going to get any momentum if you can't control the trenches, and that's the most important part of the game. That's where the game is won and lost. And that, I mean, if you've played football before, you know that. If you control the line of scrimmage, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win the game. And so I will give their defense credit for stepping up, because I did say last night that Sacramento State averaged 36 points a game last year when they went 9-4.
And we're talking about, I forget the Sacramento coach's name. They brought it up on the broadcast as well. The dude has his team scoring almost 40, 50 points a game.
They averaged 36 last year.
So I know you just brought that up, but my point is this guy knows how to call an offense. And for Dixie to hold him to 19 points, that's impressive.
I was surprised they didn't convert on some of those third down attempts they had in that first half, around midfield. They had some pretty key stops, some tackle for losses and such, key third down stops that were really huge. And I thought we had a real chance to win the game in the fourth quarter on that throw to Fisher. That was just in and out of the hands, 6 inches overthrown. If that play is on target, I think we actually win the game. I think somehow, some way, we hold on to win the game.
And that's why I have optimism. I'm not bagging on James here, but James has been at the school just as long as I have been. He's probably been here longer than I have been.
2 years longer.
Probably. So, I mean,
I've seen the worst.
You have seen the worst. But I've been here because I was here when they went 8 wins in my first year calling games here. Then they went 9 wins, and then they go 2-3 in the spring. I think if they would have had an entire fall season, I think they were about to go 8-9 wins again. And if they would have stuck another year in the RMAC, I know for sure they would have gone for 10 wins and would have won the first bid to get into the playoffs. I know that because I've seen it. I've seen how the team has been getting built, and I've seen the progress, and I've seen all the progression. Last night, to me, was just... It was amazing, guys. It was amazing to watch my team play a legitimate D1 team and look competitive. Not just go out there and just represent the school, but they look competitive. A couple things on offense, they win that football game. They don't lose that football game, and that's the same team I saw up against Darlington State the first week. They had the swagger. They had the confidence. They had the know-it-all. They had all the trust and ability in each other. Just 2 things didn't go right, and that's why the win slipped out of their hands.
Here's what I will say about the future. There is optimism. I'm going to be a lot more optimistic than I thought for some of these games coming up after last night, but I won't shy away from saying that we aren't going to be favored to probably win more than 2 games on the season. And
I'm
so
telling you,
with that being said,
5-6 wins.
I'm not going to give any sort of prediction on the season. I'm not going to say, we're going to finish like this on this podcast. But what I will say is that I'm excited to see how our defense does against some of these teams when we play Montana, when we play Sam Houston. I'm excited to see will our defense actually give up these huge plays finally, or will we still hold on? And sure, our offense might not give us a lot, but I know we're going to be at least in some games for a couple quarters, and that's going to be fun to call.
All right, let's move on to NASCAR and MLB here. Let's start with NASCAR here in about 3 minutes. The Darlington Race, the first round of the playoffs, is going to get underway. It's a little bit of a throwback weekend for NASCAR. Darlington, Jacob, they've repaved, and James, because James loves NASCAR. He watches it every single week. He enjoys the sport just as much as I do.
You're glad this is an audio-only podcast.
So they repaved some of the banking in turn 2, and I love that. They repaved
Keep going, Martin.
They repaved the turn 2 with new pavements, so it's going to be a new set up there. They had a race on it yesterday with the Xfinity race. It was a lot of fun to watch. Noah Gragson gets a win in that one. So
this is what I do every time during the NASCAR segment. I'm just sitting.
You guys are not even listening. Whatever. Anyway, to the people that are listening, NASCAR's back this weekend. First round of the playoffs for NASCAR. It's 1 of 3 races in the first round of 16. We'll see who gets through. I think there's going to be, I want to say Matt DiBenedetto. I want to say Kurt Busch. I want to say Eric Almirola. I want to say Ryan Blaney might be the first few out after the round of 16, but we'll see how it goes in that. To the MLB.
Now, this I can talk about.
It's the last month of the season. The Chicago White Sox need 18 wins to get their first Central Division win since 2008. Your Oakland Athletics, James, are in a battle for the AL West amongst the Houston Astros.
Astros.
How are my Phillies?
Phillies.
They actually might be in second place in the division right now.
Your Phillies are a little bit of a struggle, man. I mean, they're playing.
They're in second place right now. They're 2 games behind the Braves. They're above 500.
That's a Braves team that doesn't have Albies or Acuna.
And they're only 2 games out
of
the division. So
let's go, Bryce.
Anyway,
that's only because the other 3 teams in that division have pretty much sold away their entire team. The Mets are terrible. The Marlins don't have anyone in the Nationals. Traded away everyone except Soto.
Fell off that fast, huh?
Well, they traded away everybody from that World Series team except for Juan Soto.
They won't trade him. He's the cornerstone.
Not having a real cap in baseball really pisses me off.
Well, you did see the proposal. I don't know if you have, but Manfred made a proposal saying that they should have like $100 million.
Yeah, because I mean it's completely unfair. The Dodgers and the San Diego Padres.
This is the thing.
That's baseball. That's baseball's own fault. That's baseball's own fault because they've really never established a salary cap in the MLB because there's never been a true need for it. Because back in the day, owners would just own you, and if they wanted to trade you off for anything, they would have traded you off for anything. You just got paid what the owner said you were going to get paid, and that's that. So when they established free agency, the amount of money that only teams can spend was never established because free agency was a new thing in baseball, and they never established it back then. They tried to in the 90s, but baseball rejected it because why are we going to do that to ourselves and diminish our own game?
Well, it's not diminishing your own game. You're just matching what the NBA and the NFL does, and I don't think you should be playing like it's the 1960s.
Here's the thing about baseball. They kind of do have a salary cap, but it's not like you can't spend more than this. They have a luxury tax. So the Dodgers and the Yankees luxury tax that they have to pay the league is more than some baseball teams' payrolls.
That's actually true.
With that being said, that luxury tax gets thrown into this big pool of luxury tax, and it gets dispersed throughout the league to somewhat make it a competitive fairness.
Okay.
Right? So the $100 million is just a proposal saying that's the new mark for the cap. Now, if you spend more than $100 million for your payroll, whatever extra you are over that, that's your tax that you have to pay. So that's the only difference, really. But I mean, basketball, they do have luxury tax as well, but those I think only apply to people with bird exceptions. I don't know if you guys know what a bird exception is, but that's when you can sign a player and still be able to go over the salary cap because they've been with your team for X amount of years. So football is really the only one that has nothing like that. What you see on the cap room is what you get. But baseball, I mean, they have this thing, luxury tax, and I don't know how big of a difference that truly makes because my team's never in luxury tax. We're always getting the luxury tax. So it can help out the smaller teams, and that's the whole reason why they even do it. So there we go.
As James gives us an educational set of values to learn from. I appreciate that very much from him in that category, but nonetheless, my team's in first place. I'll probably win my division. Your team's in a battle, James, for the division. Hopefully your team pulls out.
No, the A's are in third place because the Mariners decided to start playing baseball after 20 years.
You know, my mom went to an Orioles game the other day, and now
there were $2.
I figure out why they did. They're the worst team in the MLB right now.
Yeah, they're like 40 and 90 years.
Wow.
43 and 92.
319 win percentage, last in the league.
Yeah, they're the worst team in baseball, and they have been for like 4 or 5 years. They actually had a little bit of a run when they had like Mark Reynolds and Chris Davis. Like they had some guys there, and they had some shortstop too who was pretty good. They had a couple of years where they were at the top of the AL East, and then they just shipped everyone away. Matt Wieters, that's when Matt Wieters was the catcher for them. Yeah, I've had some good. I don't know if you guys have ever had Lavoie. Have you guys ever had Lavoie as a professor yet?
Yes.
Yeah, he's an Orioles fan. I don't know if he's ever said that. He's not very proud of it, but he's an Orioles fan. So him and I used to talk about it.
I don't know about that. Cal Ripken is a great player.
Oh, that's all he talks about is Cal Ripken.
So anyway, as we're rambling on here, MLB talk here on the Coin Flip Podcast. Jacob and James are tuning in with us. James is throwing us all for a loop today. Usually we're a little more crisp and clean and on time, but with James, throw that all out the window. Anyway, Jacob, let's give you the rant here. We're going to be quiet. We'll listen to this. It's a good one.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
The one, the only, the rant.
Oh, you're about to go blasphemous.
Fighting a scorpion, and that is final.
Will you two shut up?
Oh my God, I don't care.
You will when we're done talking about the rant here on the Coin Flip with Martin Kelly
and Jacob Zimmerman.
It's the rant here on the Coin Flip, episode 48. Martin's been doing a lot of the rants this summer, but it's time for me to get back with the rant. My Miami Hurricanes, they're my favorite college football team, largely because of the U documentaries, part 1 and 2, the 80s. We had the dynasty, 58 home wins in a row. We had the best college football team of all time in 2001 with countless Hall of Famers. And that Hall of Fame number for Miami is going to go up a lot over the next couple of years when all those guys get in to Hall of Fame. So with a decorated history that well, we find ourselves getting blown out by Alabama by 31 yesterday. I messaged James yesterday morning. I was like, James, I think I might want you to put down some money for me for Miami to cover the 19-point spread. And I was like, really? They expect us to lose by 20? What was I thinking, man? I knew De'Aaron King was coming back. He tore his ACL like 8 months ago, guys. And he came back and he played. But he wasn't quite the same De'Aaron King. And the problems don't even start with him. The problem is just all of college football, guys. Alabama represents everything that Miami once used to be. Miami used to just be able to walk into a regular season completely reloading their team after losing a bunch of guys in the draft and still go in to a team that has a lot of hopes on a good season and just demolish them. No matter what they did in the offseason, just demolish them just based off of talent and coaching alone and just kill them. Alabama is what Miami used to be and is trying to get back to it. And I'm looking around college football and I'm realizing it's just Alabama at the top. Clemson's not there. Georgia, they really have no shot. At the end of the day, Alabama's going to walk away with this national title this year, and I don't see any team really coming within 10 points of them. For this Miami team to come out there and put up that performance, I mean, that was pathetic, especially on the defensive side of the football. There was a play, me and James were watching the highlights last night after the game, and I stopped him because he wasn't watching, and I was like, James, rewind that. There was a play. Alabama was in the red zone. It was almost 27-0 at this point. It was one of the few plays I watched live. And Alabama throws it to their tight end. He's got 10, 12 yards to go before the end zone, and there's a couple Hurricanes in front of him. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna tackle me right here. One of our guys gets trucked. The next one gets stiff-armed to the ground, and Alabama walks in for a touchdown. And when I watched this play, I was like, boy, if that just doesn't sum up college football right there, all your hopes and dreams just getting stiff-armed to the ground, right in the face mask from the Alabama Crimson Tide. That's what every team is going to experience this year. I don't know why Texas and Oklahoma signed up to get beat by Alabama, but they did. And college football is just a mess. And if Miami wants to get back to the glory days, I heard this guy called 24/7 Sports on YouTube talk about this, how Florida, Texas, and California need to reclaim their athletes in their states. Stop letting them go to Alabama. Stop it. You mean Nick Saban? Yes, I mean Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the problem, James. Nick Saban has ruined college football. I've got to the point where, okay, you win, Nick Saban. You are the greatest coach ever. Alabama can be the greatest school ever. You guys have it. You win. But let's reclaim these states and try to get USC, UCLA, Texas, all those schools in Texas, Florida, Miami, FSU.
Hey, don't give anybody ideas. Notre Dame needs to steal your talent too.
Notre Dame has, yeah, exactly. Notre Dame needs to come back too.
Give Texas any ideas? I love all the Texas players. They're awesome.
We need college football back.
I feel like they should do some kind of recruiting.
Wait a minute. I feel like I already ranted on this.
I listened to you rant about how Alabama's ruined college football. I remember listening to that.
I basically just gave the same rant you did, Martin, because I needed to double down after what just happened.
I told you that coming into this, man. Did you see Bryce Jones yesterday for Alabama? The dude was a brand new.
There's never been this big of a difference between the number one team and the rest of college football ever. There's never been this big of a difference.
He's a fresh phone out of the box. The first day you get your phone, you don't try to do too much with your phone. You try to make sure that your phone stays very nice and fresh and clean. And he comes out of the fresh box of a phone box and just destroys you guys. With a transfer wide receiver as well.
They're getting the best of the best. It's like JV trying to beat varsity. It's just not going to happen.
Well,
here's something like I just went through the last 18 years of week 1 games for Alabama, and they've never lost. In the last, you can actually go back to the year 2000. They've never lost a week 1 game until since 1999. But did you know that since 2003, there has only been one time where Alabama's won by single digits?
They are.
All of them have been by double.
All of them have been dubbed by at least 10 points or more, except for one time.
That's how good they are.
And that was against my UH Warriors with Colt Brennan.
Wow. Now I understand why he brought this topic up.
Me?
No, anything James brings up.
No, I just found that out.
Peyton Manning, Hawaii.
I was literally just looking at that up while you were going on your rant. I was like, let me see these week 1. Because you were like, let me put money on Miami. And I was like, you just give me the money. Don't give Vegas the money. Give me the money. Because I knew it wasn't going to be close, but I wanted you to have a little bit of a positive outlook on it.
No one should ever give you money, James. No one should ever.
Thank you for saving me $20.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
You need $20. You just made $30,000 this summer.
Yeah, I know. But, you can never have enough. I mean, look at Elon. Look at Jeff. Look at Bill. They're always wanting more. They're not stopping anytime soon.
It's a Coin Flip podcast here. Now we're giving out business advice to the public here as well. That's Jacob Zimmerman, James Guerin. Thank you for being on the show with us. You'll come back next time, and we'll have even more fun on the next podcast together. I'm Martin Kelly. You guys have a good one. Peace.